Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you, bro. Peace, family. Peace, peace. We getting started, bro. We getting started. Peace, peace, peace. What's up, fam? Peace, bro. How you doing, my brother? Can you hear me? Can you hear, fam? Just want to make sure you can hear before we get started. Peace. All right. We're going science today, man. Oh, yep, I can hear you on there. On YouTube as well, family. I'm just trying to go live as well, but I hope you all know that I have a lot of lectures on YouTube. It's free. It don't cost, so got lectures anytime you want. And if any information that brothers and sisters would like I said, available PDF as well. So I mean, all information, man. Nothing. Just be questioning if we're going to say we're scientists and how can I say it, and sages and noblemen, then we should study everything because this is about mastering ourselves. So before we even jump into the esoteric science, like I said, we're going to talk about esoteric science, and we're just going to show some things doing lectures. When I do them on the college campuses, I tell all the students, get a pen, get a paper, write things down to make sure it's valid, because you don't have to want to be, I'm not explaining anything. I'm not here to connotate anything. I'm not here to try to get a person caught up in a word game, linguistic apartheid, or speaking eloquently with a silver tongue to make somebody believe what I'm saying. We're supposed to be theosophists and scientists and philosophers, researching things to make sure things is valid. This is a holy and divine movement. What I'm saying is it's not just the nationality side, brothers and sisters. It's the spiritual side too. It's the divine and holy. That synchronicity, brothers and sisters. So we have to understand that science, man. Some brothers get so caught up in the national side and they're getting in trouble, family, because they're operating not knowing the real law. They operate on, I like to say, in your lower self, or operating just 360 in a material fashion. We operate 720, brothers and sisters. That's the material and spiritual. So it's a synchronicity. And it's an intense study, brothers and sisters. It's something that we should do over and over, constantly. When brothers be talking about conscious and subconscious, you have to conscious and conscious really mean. Because if we're really conscious of things, we will be doing things repetitiously. We will be willing to study, just like we take the time to do anything else. And there's nothing wrong with enjoying other things. But I'm just talking about a balance, brothers and sisters. It's more about this turban and this Circle 7 shirt and all this stuff. This means nothing in all the Tailman bracelet. It's the person that wears it. It's supposed to be some under this turban. It's supposed to be some under those fezzes. We're supposed to know this history, man, and not be afraid. Brothers and sisters. We wear, and I'm just using this as an analogy, and we should think about this. When brothers and sisters talk about old time religion, and when I show pictures of brothers back in the day with fezzes and turbans on in New York, and we just bridge the gaps. This is my Chosen Ones book. And we bridge the gap. And when people just be talking stuff, this is in 1928 and 29. The Moorish Jew, how we dress in our neighborhood. So we don't have to argue with anyone with history. All you have to do is study. That's all. That's all we have to do, brothers and sisters. We've been kept away from our science. We're being kept away from who we are. When a person is saying, throwing all the names at you. Sorry about that, family. When all the names that we label ourselves with, family, were the names that was given up on us. Misnomers. If you study the one of the biggest wars, the history of the reign of Ferdinand and Isabella, study the history. Study the history of real history when they told the indigenous people to take their fez, to take them turbans and the sandals, for they won't know who they are. You have to research the science and what the real color of law is. You have to research the doctrine of discovery. You have to just research real law. It's not about operating in no manifestation like you're somebody. You are an American. It's not no such thing as no sovereign citizen. I repeat that. That has nothing to do with you. No individual is sovereign. That's not have nothing to do with you. If you know history and law, you will understand what the dynamics of that. And all you got to do is research it and see who done that and why. And then you say, oh, and you say, okay. You know, we study real law. Islam, brother. So all I'm saying, family, when we go around talking about things and not researching it in depthly, and not asking and not piecemeal, and not going so intense with it, just like we do other things, that's our problem. For instance, I know some brothers that go to church still, and I love them brothers, and they converse with me, and I illuminate scriptures, and I show them the esoteric scriptures, and they like, well, why the priest? I said, go ask, and they don't know it, and I said, well, hey, it's the reason why things is being promulgated a certain way. So before we even jump to this, man, because I'm gonna reveal some scripture, and then I'm gonna jump into this esoteric science, and it's gonna be amazing, man. So let me give our divine prayer, and then we're gonna jump into this. So get your pens and paper, Morris. The divine warning by the prophet Noble Ali. The prophet warns all Muslims, governors, ordered to proclaim at each meeting. This was January 15, 1929. I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical, agitating speeches while at work or in the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be a severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, justice, and my 2 cents, health and wealth. And when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course, Morris. Any member or group of members who hold malicious toward the temple or the prophet. Now, before I even go on, when you hear brothers bashing certain individuals, when they talk about certain temples and this and that and the other, and then I have to really stop a brother and say, now let's have a conversation. Have you ever been to a temple? No. Okay, do you know anybody that's a member of the Moorish Science Temple? No. Well, I just hear people say this, and they say it's a COINTEL agent, and I say, well, everything has a type. We have those in our family. Brothers kill brothers in family. My brother was killed by a Negro. My homeboy brother killed him. So I'm from Flint, Michigan. So my brother on here can verify to that. You know, we got to keep it 100. But the point, what I'm saying about this, when it's talking about when you have malicious feelings towards the temple or the prophet, that's esoteric as well, because you are the temple and the prophet, Morris. Remember, it's esoteric and exoteric that we're talking about, right? Right, Morris? Come on, man. When we talking about this high science, when I be explaining about this nature, when I be talking about what these signs and symbols of the primordial man mean, when I talk about all this high science, this the uvilation of the secret more, we're talking about this high science, the signs and symbols, man. Come on, Morris. I mean, we're supposed to have 99 degrees. If we're really studying, 32 and 33 degrees is no science. That's just a level above freezing. We know this science. It's 33 times 3. That's the ancient and primitive rite of Memphis and Mizraim, which I study, which I teach. I mean, I tell brothers the history, man. Hey, look, Morris. If you know your science, and if you know your spirituality, if you know these books, if you know the esoteric, it's all this stuff is about creating the God man, creating the temple within man, mastering yourself. That's the first thing what this talking about. And so when we walk around with operating 360, there's no science, Morris. Remember, there's certain words that we must study when I talk about linguistics. We must understand what clandestine is. We must understand what Muslim is when it's connotated and when it's denotated. We must understand the difference. We must understand why things are not hidden, but things are connotated. We don't wear this fez politically or religiously. This is a birthright. If you know the history, if you know history, that's all. When brother, I'm telling you, because nothing is hidden. So let's finish. Or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement. So if we going around saying we Moors, do we know the divine covenant? I ask Moors all the time. I'm like, do you understand the divine covenant? What is the divine covenant? Which you got to know the divine covenant. You have to know. We have a circle 7 Quran. You should know this back and forth when I talk about the Hebrew God, when I talk about the workman tools, when I talk about all that, when I talk about the 12-step ladder, when I talk about the esoteric list of the 12 disciples. That has nothing to do with no people, esoterically. In that context, what I'm talking about. I hope we understand this science. Those are all the 12 steps where we correcting ourselves. Just like when you talk about the 12 steps to recover yourself when alcoholic or rehab, you can connect the dots. It's science as well with this, man. That's when I say it's thoughts, not words. We must understand the analogy, the symbology, the allegory, the connotation, the denotation, the parable, the esotericness, the exoteric. We must understand the language. We must understand what's Latin, what's Greek. We must understand these words, what they meant then and what they mean now today. When you look in the German Bible, you see more. M-O-H-R or M-O-H-R-E-N, all in the Sefer Bible, all in the German Bible. I'm gonna kick the ballistics because we should know this science. If you were more and you say you operating righteously, when I talk about the triple roll of the adapt chamber, that's all 3 religious rites. That's the Fatima rite, that's the Parsalit rite, and that's the Judaic rite. We should know all these sciences, Morris, and there's no secret. Our eye is not contained in no triangle. Come on, man. And if brothers know what real masonry is, it was in real masonry. So we get stuff all twisted because you get orders from other people outside of yourself to do something that comes from you. All you have to do is study the science. When I talk different instance, family, I'm gonna show you this, and we're gonna just like when I talk about when you look up theosophy. When you look up theosophy, the first thing you will see, they'll show a European lady. It'll be Adam Blavatsky. I got her books, but when you dig deeper, she was taught by a Moor, a Bey. All you got to do is research the science. It's there. I'm telling you, man. So anyway, you got to understand the divine covenant of the Moorish movement. If not, you will receive our reward from Allah for our unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law. All true Moors must and will obey the law as it down to them by our prophet. If we lose confidence in our prophet, we should turn in our cars, our buttons, and cease wearing our turbans and our fez and return to the state where he found us. This is a holy and divine movement. This is a holy and divine movement, Moors. This is a holy and divine movement. What movement you hear start off a holy and divine movement? Huh? Come on, man. Founded by the prophet Noble Jurali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. That's esoterically and exoterically. That's esoterically and exoterically, Moors. So the prophet, therefore, is sending out a divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do our part in protecting the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Moors, when we look up history, we look who we are, the copper colored races found here by the Europeans, man, we have to understand about one nationality with many cultures. One nationality, we have to stop arguing amongst each other, man. And if we're gonna be scientists and philosophers and theosophists, we need to sit down and come to the round table. Man, this stuff can be done, man. This basic mathematics. I mean, like, no disrespect to no brothers, but when I see brothers post things and I say, brothers can't research that, brothers posting about around Karinga. And if people follow my lectures, I did a lecture about the guy that created Kwanzaa. Show you the history. He was a COINTEL agent. How he kidnapped and abused women, was torturing them, all this stuff. He killed 2 Black Panthers. So it's things, if we're going to study the history, everything was given to us. But what about the ones that wasn't given to us? Like Clarence X, like Khalid Muhammad, like certain brothers that was doing the movement. Even brothers before that, when we show the history. When I show brothers in New York with their turbans on, man, Wentworth Matthews now. I don't even know where that. When you see them right in Harlem in New York, when brothers be talking about some, here we go right here. When people be talking about some old time religion and what people did back in the day, man, I say, man, look, you don't know, everything was given to a lot of our ancestors. This was look at the brother. This back in the day. This is back in the day. This is back in the day. This is back in the day, family. This is back in the day. Who is? That is Rabbi Ford in a turban. Turbans were commonly used in Black spiritual churches and signified the mystical East. And signify what? The mystical East. And signify what? The mystical East. And signify what? The mystical East. When used by Black religious magical workers. Huh? Come on, man. So when we say stuff, and the picture I just showed earlier, here it is in the book. Look at the sisters. But what's so prophetic is when I show you this picture again, family, I want you to look close at the flag in the back. You see the American flag and the so-called 6-point star. That's 1928. That's before Israel was created as a dang state, country, whatever you want to call it. You see it? You see the flag in the back? That's the American flag with the so-called Israel. This 1928, 29, Morris. So let's do your history. You see the stole you have on? And so when I be connected dots, I don't even have my stole in here. I don't know, it's somewhere. I just don't understand what brothers be talking about. You have to read things the right way. All in the scripture, even the bonnets. We wore those things. We wore our hairdressing, Morris. So I'm gonna reveal some things. When brother be talking about when I talk about Morris Latin in certain letters, Hebrew, a lot of the languages is how can I say, synchronicity with the same how can I say, pronunciation. I mean, it's so much. It's so much, man. But so get your pens. So before we get into this science, man, this esoteric science, I want to share something with brothers and sisters. For one, I tell everybody, if we can't, man, accusations is so scary, man, what we do today. We gotta, Islam, Empress, Islam. We gotta stop throwing, man. And if we're gonna be honest, man, of everything, and if we're gonna be just in what we do, because we are trying to uplift fallen humanity, I hope we know who fallen humanity is. That's our women, our children. We're supposed to be teaching our children what we know now today. But if we're not going to be honest with what's going on and teach it all, instead of trying to be one-sided, amen, it's going to always be confusion, man. So I tell brothers and sisters, man, to be take this spirituality and this nationality the same way you would take relationships, serious. And if you're not serious with this, hey, it's not for you, man. So let's dive into this science, man, because this is your right to know and to ask questions. The first scripture, let me show you 23 and 3 to see how certain things were through in the scripture. Islam. When you read that, and if you have it, you can write it down. Just read that. Because one of my brothers introduced me like Moabite, and we are Moabites, we are Amorites, we Canaanites, we're all that. So read how, when you get connotated, when you see, when I tell people the Novus Testamentum, when you see who wrote these the scriptures, this Christianity book, is some stuff in there they couldn't hide the geography, but some of the story. When you research the Novus Testamentum and you see who wrote those things. So anyway, Islam. So read Deuteronomy 23 when they say no Moabite or no Amorite may enter the assembly of the so-called Lord. You read certain things and you start to question yourself. When I told you in the German Bible, Mohren was all in there. The only place Moor is the only nationality it is. You can find it just not in religious books, all in history books. Othello wrote it a Moor. I mean, everybody wrote it a Moor. Abraham Lincoln, before he was the president, he was an attorney. He fought the Moor. He proved the Moor. He wasn't black Negro. He was a Moor from Portugal. So this is, come on, man. So in the Geneva Bible, the 1599, read Jeremiah 38:12. And Elimelech, the black Moor. I mean, when we talk about misnomers and how things was changed over time and over time. Get Jeremiah 13:23. Read Jeremiah 38:7. You know? So those things are there. Those things are there. Those things are there for our viewing. Exactly, Mo. Exactly. So those things are there for our viewing. So we can stand proudly and not stand with no argument with our lower self. The proof is there. We must know what a status is. We must know the color of law. When I talk about certain things, it's like, man, we have to know this stuff. If we're not going to research it, we should study it, and we should ask the ones that we can all understand from a lawful, a valid perspective. There's no secret here. But I would like brothers to be students because I am trying to build something. I am a real teacher. I do teach the science. And like I said, most people that I teach it at the YMCA, they're not Moors. I teach the total 7 Hermetic principles, man. And it is what it is. People talk about the Hermetic principles. I say, yes, that's cool, but that's connotated, you know. But it is what it is, man. It's what it is, right? So if we know that science, we know that. When brothers try to not share science to you, talk about the mysteries of the silent brotherhood of the East. And the thing that really gets me, man, because see, I talk about the national side, you know. I don't have nothing to hide. I tell brother, if you want to be a Moor, I give you the phone number to call through the temple. Because my thing, brothers be asking me about other camps. I don't know nothing about what they're doing. Because if your heart is right, if the right thing with brothers and sisters, that's fine. But if you're getting brothers and sisters signing papers and doing things that's not righteous, then that's something else. And I always tell brothers and things you should always research and ask questions. I show everything. Brothers ask me, do you just get an ID? I say, no, it's just not ID. I got I got a stack of papers with my oath of amnesty, all type of things. So I give you the temple to do it the way you want to. I give you the number to call. I tell brothers, I don't nationalize nobody, but I am a school and I do have students. And you can be a student and I teach the science. But let's jump into something, man. When we supposed to connect these dots. Man, my brother got my circle 7. Quran. Big bro. Tell bro to bring me my my Morris Quran for a minute, please. But I'm gonna kick some science to you. In the can you ask Sebastian to hand me my circle 7 Quran, please, boo boo? Out of his room. That's my empress. Come on, man, get it. This shit crazy. I be tearing this room up, y'all, so I gotta be nice. Shoot.
Hello, there you go.
Thank you, man.
You're welcome.
All right, family. Look, I'm finna read in the chapter where Jesus, Yeshua, received the mystical name and number and passed the first brotherhood test. Listen closely, Morris, so we can connect the dots when I say it's no secret. It's no secret. Connect the dots. When I say we should be studying everything, we should be studying all our books, the national and the divine side. Everybody has expertise, and some people study it all. Indeed, indeed, man, indeed. And you know, like I tell brothers, I give the numbers. Like, and I tell brothers, family, I'm not here to get nobody on no religious side, because Moors are we don't have no religion per se, Moors. So when brothers be coming with that Al Islam stuff, I say that's great, but that's not more science, and this is not no Arab Islam. Now you can get Islam for dummies. I'm not gonna keep pulling the literature out and tell you this is American Islam. This is Sufism. This is Islamism. This connecting God and man is one. That's when we say Islam and more science. It's I, self, law, and master. There's nothing outside of self. We say Allah, this arm, leg, arm, head. When I say Yahweh, the YHWH stand up, that's the manifestation of man. God and man is one. That's the circle in the seven, man. If you read in your holy seven, man, go. The circle is the symbol of the perfect man. And the seven is the number of the perfect man. The logos is the perfect word, which creates, that which destroys, and that which saves. This Hebrew master is the logos of the Holy One, the circle of the human race, the seven of time. And the record book, the scribe wrote down the logos, the circle seven, and that was, but they use in a Greek words, Jesus Christ. We know the logos is Greek, but when we research the words, we can connect the dots, I hope. The master said the logos will give heed to what I say. No man can enter into the light till he found himself. No man can enter into the light until he found himself. I want to pull my big chart down and I'll pull it down again. That's when I'm talking about the 360. Listen, Morris, listen what it says. No man can enter into the light till he found himself. So we got to understand this, man. Listen to me. Well, Arab, bro, to be honest, anybody can be an Arab. If you religion, just like when if you research, when people talk about they Jews, nobody, that's not a nationality. Anybody can be a Jew if you believe in Judaism. You know what I mean? So it's really nothing. That had nothing to do with nationality. Those are all things that was given, misnomers that was given to people to confuse, you know, and we just got to keep going. But Arab is really nothing. Arabic that's no nationality. So when we talking about the 360 and the 720, I'm talking about is science, and we correcting ourselves first. We correcting ourselves first. We talk about we connecting the dots. Everything goes back to the seven. Everything goes back to the seven. Everything is esoteric. If we study the science and the brother to break down the science, we will connect the science. The 12-step ladder. The 12-step ladder, the 12 ways to correcting yourself. The 12 functions of the brain. Every constellation have 3 deacons. We're talking esoteric. We're talking about, man, we're talking about the chemical makeup of man. We're talking about perfecting man. We're talking about 6 protons, 6 neutrons, 6 electrons. Man, we're talking about science, man. We're talking about esoteric science, correcting yourself, real alchemy. Real alchemy, Islam, Morris, Islam, real science, man, real science. Like I tell brothers, I know brothers, no disrespect to none of my brothers that's under European masonry, that's Prince Hall. But when I talk to some of my brothers and we talk science, they know none of the esoteric science. They don't know. And I have, man, my uncles will tell you, I have uncles that's Mason. They don't know no science. When I come in that lecture to them, they like, bro, whoa, wait, where you going to, and I say, I'm telling you, man, when people try to put the wrong, because we listening to the wrong people under the wrong manifestation, when they're putting the wrong face on more science, that's what we have to be careful of, Morris. I'm here to, illuminate. We have to know what illuminate is. There's nothing wrong with these words. Illuminate is just to shed light on a particular subject or a particular situation. or a particular individual. We have to get out of spookism. We have to get into science, man. It's not all these scientists. When I talk about the Baphomet, that's written Kabbalistically. Tip Hop Ophim, that's the Temple of David. It's written Kabbalistically. That's more science. That Celtic science, when I show all the books, you think that's some white European person dressed up in Moorish attire? Your skin tone has nothing to do with your nationality, Moors. All in the history books, it talks about Moors. And we walking around like all upset. Why are you upset? I keep telling Moors we supposed to be master craftsmen. We're supposed to be master scientists. We're supposed to be master scientists. I mean, nothing is hidden. When people be showing stuff, I'll be like, well, I teach the science. A lot of these brothers is there. I've written all the books. And I tell brothers, all brothers, if they studying the science, should be saying the same thing. Nobody had, if I call myself some esoteric teacher, I should be saying the same thing the other esoteric teachers saying, especially if they study the high sciences, especially when we come together as master craftsmen. Because there have to be some synchronicity. Because this ain't about an ego, I hope, Morris. I hope. Come on, man. Then it says, go forth and search till you have found your soul, and then return. The guide led Jesus, which is Yahshua, to a room in a light which faint and mellow, like the light of early dawn. The chamber was. What chamber was? The so-called adapt chamber. Were marked with mystic signs, with hieroglyphs and sacred texts. We're talking about studying the signs and symbols. When I tell brothers and sisters, if you talk about you some Egyptologist and you don't, when I show you the YHWH in a hieroglyph and you don't understand what that is, and I say, brothers, come on, man, we got to stop lying to the people and connect the dots, man. If you understand the story of Anaseph and Joseph, you connect the dots. But he found himself alone where he remained for days. He read the sacred text, thought out the meanings of the hieroglyph, and sought out the importance of the master's charge to find himself. A revelation came. He got acquainted with his soul. So that means he got acquainted with him higher self. He got acquainted with him his higher self. He connected to that 720 because he was only operating 360. He found himself. Then he was not alone. He found himself. Then he was not alone. Morris, do you hear that? Watch, let me get in the circle 7. Let me get in our Quran. Well, let me show you something. Right in our book. Man, the lion and the lamb supposed to wake up together in the morning. I hope we know that science, man. We supposed to be doing commerce. People not going to tell you what commerce really mean. Man. Come on, Moors. Talk about some proclaiming. But you better understand what due process is. You better understand what due process is then, Morris. For real. All right. Finding it in your Quran. The Hebrew prophet is the rising star of wisdom, defied. He brings to us a knowledge of the secret things of Allah. And all the world will hear the words and glorify his name. You priests of the temple, Kavistu, stay, be still, and listen when he speaks. He is the living oracle of Allah. Come on, man. So if we're gonna teach us about the science, man, let's just be truthful. Right in our Circle 7 Quran, when we talk about our workman tools. What about our workman tools? How, Morris? When I say you don't have to go to no, look, man, you don't have to run to no European masonry, man. Certain things are just hidden from brothers, man, and we're not willing to teach it. Chapter 5, verse 12 in our Circle 7 Quran. Listen, the day as he was bringing forth the tools of the work, he said, these tools remind me of the ones we handled in the workshop of the mind, where things are made of thought and where we build up character. What tools I just said a minute ago? The 12-step ladder, all this esoteric, all these 12 disciples, all this stuff. And then I went up and above. I'm talking about what? Your brain, the 12 functions of your brain. Come on, man. I hope we understanding this science, man. We're talking about creating the God, man. Science, man. This science, man. When brother be like, how you run 10 miles a day? Man, because there's certain things you do. It's certain things we can do. It's certain ways that we can eat. Man, it's certain things that we can do, man. I promise you. But let's finish. It reminds me of the ones we handled in our workshop, where the mind. Listen, these two remind me of the ones we handled in the workshop of the mind, where things are made of thoughts and where we build up character. Ooh, come on, man. You know that's heavy. We use the square. We use the square to measure all our lines. We use the square to measure all our lines, to straighten out the crooked places of the way and make the corners of our conduct square, of our conduct square, of our own conduct square. We use the compass to draw the circles around our passions and desires to keep them in the bounds of righteousness. We use the axe to cut away the naughty, useless, and ungainly parts and make the character symmetrical. We use the hammer to drive home the truth and pound it in until it is part of our every part, Morris. We use the plane to smooth the rough, uneven surface of joint and block and board that go to build the temple for the truth. The chisel, the line, the plummet, and the saw have all their uses in the workmanship of the mind. And then this ladder, here we go. And then this ladder with its trinity of steps, faith, hope, love, on the climb up to the dome of purity and life. And on the 12-step ladder, there we go, Morris. And on a 12-step ladder, we ascend until we reach the pinnacle of that which is spent to build the temple of the perfected man, Morris. Come on, man. Come on, man. We talk. Come on. I know y'all know what we're talking about. Ourselves, right, Morris? Right? So when a more come with this, it only deal with the national, so I only deal with civics. What civics? Because civics is law. Civics is history. Now, I'm going to read the same thing to you. I'm going to read the Committed to Adapt manual. The Committed to Adapt manual. I tell brothers, all I ask for donations. If you don't want to buy the book, I have my books PDF, and I give you the Adapt lab, the Mystic of Ali. I give the Adapt manual. It's things that you can do. You have to do. I'm not. It's things that you should do to get into your higher self. That just like working out, just like practicing, just like breathing. Those are the things that you do to master yourself. It's not just sit back doing nothing. You have to be the best you can be and be disciplined. Disciplined and dedicated what? To your craft. So this is the Committed to Adapt manual and use of the carpenter tools. Reconstructing the ancient and most exalted grand Kwa or Ka. What? The Kaaba of Allah. The Kabbalah. Right? Come on, Morris. Connect the dots with me. When I tell you the Kabbalah ain't nothing but more science. When I tell you the Baphomet is just written Kabbalistically. Are you following me? When I show you the transcendental magic. When I show you this by Elysius Levi, but even though this is connotated, because he stole the wisdom, well, I can't say stole it, he wrote the wisdom, and it comes from the continent of Amexima, the river Nile, the god of the river Nile, the Hapi, all that stuff is the word still Greek, but no, I mean, I'm telling you, it's written Kabbalistically. I mean, if you go check out a couple lectures on my page, and I lecture about the science. So those are some of the things that you think, or a person might think is, some evil or some devil worship and stuff, because they don't understand the signs and symbols and the science. When I talk about the primordial man, the signs and symbols, when I tell brothers and sisters, man, look, some are just not elite or illuminated. That's all. So As we just read in our Moorish Quran, I'm going to read the Committee Adapt Manual and use of our carpenter tools. Reconstructing the ancient and most exalted Grand Qua, or the Ka, the Kabbalah. These tools remind me of the ones we handle in the workshop of the mind, where things are made of thought and where we build up character. Where I just read that at? Where I just read that at, more? Didn't I just read that in our Quran? The 5th chapter? What was it? The 5th chapter? Let me see. Verse 12, all the way. I think it was. If I'm not mistaken, Morris. Yeah. The 5th chapter, verse 12. Come on, man. We use the square to measure all our lines, to straighten out the crooked places of the way and make the corners of our conduct square. We use the compass to draw the circle around our passions. I just read it. So we got to know that, man. We got to know this stuff, man. So I'm going to give a little esoteric science, and then I got to ride out, man, because it's one of them days with the wife. We're going to have a good time today. But when we talk about correcting ourselves, Morris, we're talking about the Merkaba. So write these things down, man. We got to understand this science. We got to understand a healthy spinning Merkaba. What a healthy spinning Merkaba, when I'm talking about that compass and that square. When we talk about that geometry fields around us. We can't let nobody connotate us with things that they don't know. So like the book that's going out to a couple of brothers that ordered it, I'm just highlighting some things. Those methods are going to be in that literature. And we have to study those things, man. We have to know what the DMT is. When I tell brothers and sisters, it's a molecule that's already in us. Peace, Empress. Peace, Empress. Islam. It's a molecule, brothers and sisters, that's connected. You could call it your chakra, or you could call it your third eye, whatever. But those things must be activated. And things can sit in you and be just there. Just like there's certain foods and there's certain things that we can eat where it can combat your melanin. And that's and I say, brothers and sisters, that's things we should know. Because this is just not a national thing. This is a holy and divine movement as well. But what I'm saying, it's a molecule inside our brain that the government and things, it's been hidden for a long time, and it's called the DMT. And it's something that our brain already generates. But the secret is we can activate it. It's just like alchemy. It's certain things that you can do so you can activate things if you understand the science of nature and nature going together and connecting to the sun. We're going to talk about these things, man. But we can talk about what endogenous human psychedelics are. Research this stuff, Indigenous or endogenous means that a compound is made in the body. Endo is within, and genius, generated or formed. So endogenous or endogenous, DMT, right? Then is DMT made within the body? And there are other endogenous compounds with half we've become familiar with over the years, right? But the discovery, man, of this DMT in the human body stimulated much less fanfare than did any other type of drug or say a psychedelic per se. But so they didn't understand that this stuff was made in the brain. And so when you see so-called Indian movies back in the day, and you think they blowing some smoke, and when I tell you, man, they make a mockery of everything. We're not even understanding what they're making a mockery of. Do you think they're going crazy and all that stuff? All connotated science. I'm telling you, man. A form of masonry is abracadabra. They put things right in your face and you don't even know what it is, So that's really, and you think they're going crazy and going into psychedelic. No, that's DMT. That's that spirit molecule. But that's deeper esoteric science. I just want to keep it basic. But what is DMT doing in our bodies? You know what I mean? You got to research this. It's closely related to serotonin. It's a neurotransmitter that psychedelics affect so widely, right? The pharmacology of DMT is similar to that of other well-known psychedelics. I mean, follow me, Morris. So in a way, as I'm summarizing, because this is a long lecture I did in the college campus, and when I tell brothers and sisters, no science a lot of science, eugenics, all that stuff that's not even real science. That's pseudo-science. That's pseudo-academia. You don't have to listen to me. They'll tell you. It's pseudo-academia. Research medical apartheid. But in a way, family and Moors and empresses, DMT is brain food, treated in a manner similar to why the brain handles glucose, its precious fuel source, Moors. Exactly, Empress. It's a part of a high turnover system, quick in and quick use. The brain actively transports DMT, Moors. It transports it across its defense system and just as rapidly breaks it down. It is as if DMT is necessary for maintaining normal brain function. So if we have this in our brain, how do we activate it? For it produces itself. Because the body is a machine, it's supposed to produce everything it needs if nature is connected to nature. So if nature is connected to nature, what are you doing? How are you living? How are you eating? How are you praying? How are you living to activate your DMT, the spirit molecule that's already in you? Something has to activate it, Moors. The national side, that ain't the only part. I'm telling you side. I'm telling you, man. But hey, like I say, it is only when levels get too high for normal function that we start undergoing unusual experience. So the question some people was asking me, what is DMT doing in our bodies? But more specifically, we can ask, why do we make it? Why do our body makes the DMT? When I just tell you, it's already in us. When I tell brothers, you think somebody giving you something like they got some secret magical key, and it's all in you. You just should be around the right person and the so-called right teachers that's willing to teach to activate it, to show this is a living and a holistic living, a living example. When you should be able to look at a person and be like, look, this is what this person is doing, man. I don't take any pills, but it's a way to live. But let's get it in, man. But why do we make DMT in our bodies? Because it's the spirit molecule. Exactly, Brother Bronze. The food and what we drink, our intake is stopping most from this. I tell brothers and sisters, man, I run 10 miles a day. I do push-up, stand up. I do crunch, stand up on my feet. I mean, certain things that we can do. When I talk about being in the sun, I'm gonna talk about this, man. And I challenge brothers. You don't have to listen to me or nothing I say, but research it. I'm telling you, it's real. But let's finish this science. So what then is a spirit molecule? Someone was asking. What must it do? And how might it do what it's supposed to do? And why is DMT the prime candidate, some may ask. Some ask to say that DMT is the molecule of a chemical that's necessary for the brain to function. Like what I'm saying is, like Morris, a spirit molecule needs to elicit with reasonable reliability. You understand? It needs to be connected to something. So a spirit molecule also leads us to spiritual realms. And if we change our brains receiving ability, meaning to what we put in our brain, what we intake, how we think. I'm telling you, Morris, just one thing. Like how I do, I say, I don't have the way. I say, it's something that you do continuously, over and over, repetitiously. But it changes our brain's receiving ability. And we can apprehend and interact with them. With what? Our higher self. So what I'm saying more is when we keep in mind that a spirit molecule is not spiritual and it's nothing by itself. Just like the alcohol in a bottle is nothing. Everything needs that agent. Everything needs that physical temple. That's just a tool. I was just giving you said these remind me of the tools shop. I just gave you that in our mortgage. These are just a chariot, a scout, a horseback, something to which we can hitch our consciousness to. It pulls us into worlds known only to itself, Moors. And we need to have that. We need to have that esoteric sight. Or you like to say that third eye per se. Just having a third eye on your shirt don't mean nothing. So we must know what the so-called spiritual realms include, the heaven and hell within, both fantasy and nightmare. When people try to get you with spookism, science, you can use the levels is within, just like science, esoteric and exoteric. Come on, man. We must know the craft. But while the spirit molecule's role may seem angelic, there is no guarantee it will not take us to a demonic, meaning it's the agent. Everything, man. So why is DMT so attractive a candidate for being the spirit molecule? Its effects are extraordinary and fully psychedelic. Research it, man. It's scientists that reported of the properties from unprepared and unsuspecting researching subjects who participated in the first clinical studies in 1950 and the 60s. See why they stopped it. DMT occurs in our bodies and we produce it naturally, Morris. Our brain seeks it out, pulls it in, and readily digests it. As an endogenous psychedelic, DMT may be involved in naturally occurring psychedelic states that have nothing to do with taking drugs, but whose similarities to drug-induced conditions are striking, family. I'm telling you, man. Research some science. We just must understand this, man. And if it was taught this way in school by teachers and by high craftsmen, we'll understand this. Our kids will understand when we're connecting this to our pineal gland and what this is all about. You know? All the signs and symbols, man. All the mystical traditions are repleted with descriptions of a blinding bright white light accompanying deep spiritual realization. You know what I mean? In Judaism, consciousness moves through the what? Sifra, or Kabbalistically, centers of the spiritual development, the highest being, Keter or Keter, or the crown. In the Eastern Auritic tradition, the centers are called chakras, right, Morris? And particularly experienced likewise accompany the movement of energy through them, right, Morris? The highest chakra is also called what? What is called the crown chakra. Or what? The 1,000-petal lotus. In both traditions, the location of the crown or the sifra or the chakra is the center of the top of the skull, anatomically corresponding to the human pineal gland. You see when we do this is a synchronicity. When I talk about the triple roll of the adapt chamber, we don't walk around with no prejudice. We're supposed to understand all the essence of all crafts, Morris. But when you read about the pineal gland in the writings of Herophilius, a 3rd century BC Greek physician from the time of Alexander the Great, that's what they teach you in school. I'm telling you. Its name comes from Latin pineus or pineus, P-I-N-E-U-S, relating to the pine or the pinus, the little organ in the piniform, or shaped like a pine cone, no bigger than the nail of your pinky finger, family. Exactly, more. But the pineal gland is unique in its own solidarity status within the brain as well, Morris. All other brain sites are paired, meaning they have left and right, right? They have counterparts. For example, family, there are left and right frontal lobes and left and right temporal lobes, right? As the only unpaired organ deep within the brain, the pineal gland remain in what? An anomalic curiosity for nearly thousands of years, but not to the East. We understood what that was. We're not talking about Western pseudo academia. When you get in school, when they say who are the greatest thinkers in the world, Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, and I did a lecture on that at the university when I did my dissertation. They said that's not true. But I had to explain it thoroughly. I had to explain that the Jewish encyclopedia said that they would eat them. I proved it. So we don't argue with no one. Every brothers that's getting connotated. You don't argue with nothing. They got this. They're paying to tell you what it is. You can research the Jewish encyclopedia. It tell you who Edom is. They're paying. So it's no argument. You know, there's no argument. But more, we must know how to do our meditations and our chants and the things that we can do to connect to our higher self. So I'm just going to give a little bit of history of when brothers and sisters don't understand the dynamics of sun gazing. When brothers and sisters be saying we're connected to this and that, and I say, I understand. But if we're not studying science the right way, man, you can get connotated and you can get under linguistic apartheid and you can fall under medical apartheid. You don't have to take any supplement if you're putting the right things in you because nature connects with nature. I'm telling you. Like for instance, what we're just gonna do a little bit of. I'm in Arizona, man. I'm a contractor, so I do a lot of contractors out in the summer. Out here, it's 100+ degrees. But when I'm talking about, when I tell brothers about sun gazing, how I stay energized and just certain things about what I'm doing, I just want to say this is nothing I created. These are things that's been proven that works. You know, we just look at things from the wrong perspective. Because when I say it's a synchronicity, man, this pen is nothing without me using it. When people talk about this some magic cloth, the cloth is nothing. The turban is nothing. It's supposed to be under the turban and the fez. This is just an outward appreciation of who we are. It's supposed to be something under this fez, under this capta. But when we talk about sun gazing, you must research everything and must be under the right training and all that stuff to even go into it and to research it. NASA did do a research on sun gazing, and many proponents of what's known as sun gazing, a valid practice recently confirmed by NASA. Many proponents of this ancient technique used by many cultures such as Mayan, Egyptian, Aztec, the Tibetan, and Indian yoga per se, record not only healing benefits to common illnesses, but obtaining so-called superhuman abilities such as advanced telepathy and going completely without the need for food. But that's a little extreme. We don't do things for that. But we're talking about when we're connecting and energizing and doing things naturally, also with the way we live and the way we eating, the synchronicity. So we talk about sun gazing, also known as sun eating per se. It's a strict way to practice gradual introducing sunlight into your eyes at its lowest ultraviolet rays, the index of the day, the sunrise and sunset. This is what certain, when we talk about sun gazing is. Research this stuff. Those who teach the practice say there are several rules to practice. First, it must be done within the hour of the sun rise or before the sunset to avoid damaging the eyes. Second, you must be barefoot in contact with the actual earth, sand, dirt, or mud. And finally, you must be within 10 seconds of the first day, increasing 10 seconds intervals. So it's certain things when we talk about, we must research it intensively, Morris. So I'm going to jump forward for I want you to research this. Okay, we got 28 seconds. We finna jump back in, Morris. Log back on. We're going to highlight this about the sun gazing part and we're going to wrap it up. We probably got 20 more minutes. Islam. My back. Okay.